Welcome to another edition of E.W. Jackson for America. Great to be with you again today. I want to say right off the bat, this is going to be a shortened program because I'm going to be substituting for Pastor Jeff Shreve at 9 a.m. on American Family Radio. I meant to live stream the program yesterday, but my own technical inefficiencies prevented that from happening. But I think I got it straight today. And so you will be able to watch the program on my live stream system, and you can also listen to the program on AFR.net or on the AFR app. So either way, you can listen to it. And by the way, my own podcast, The Awakening, is available today on the website. I'm not sure what time it will be posted, but it will be posted on the American Family Radio website sometime today. Okay, let's get right into it, shall we? Because I said to you yesterday that the final day's strategy for the Democrats is mass hysteria, trying to convince people that Donald Trump is the most dangerous figure in the world, and that allowing him to be president is the equivalent of putting Adolf Hitler in as president. I mean, that's what they're trying to sell. He's a fascist. Well, the latest effort in that regard, as I'm sure you've seen, is this issue of something he allegedly said when dealing with this funeral for a deceased soldier. And apparently the funeral, all this stuff is alleged, cost so much money, $60,000, and Donald Trump didn't like it, and he says, something to the effect of, this is robbery, and made some kind of racial slur about Mexicans. This is all the stuff that they're saying that Donald Trump said. Now, let me just tell you right now what I believe. It is all an absolute, unequivocal lie. Because, and my stuff is not working here properly at the moment, but because witnesses who were there when the incident happened said Donald Trump never said that. Donald Trump never expressed anything but support for this family, for this soldier, for helping these folks. And consistently, it is reported that Donald Trump always had nothing but encouragement for our soldiers, respect for our soldiers. Now, the generals apparently are coming out and saying that, he showed disrespect, blah, 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 blah. But that's because he didn't like them. And he thought that they were more bureaucrats in his way than generals who were following the commander-in-chief. They need a little constitutional lesson. But we Americans elect somebody as commander-in-chief, and that civilian that we elect is in charge of the military. The military is not in charge of itself. When the military becomes in charge of itself, that's called a junta, because then they start taking over the country because they've got the guns. That's not how we operate. Somebody needs to give these people a little constitutional revelation. You don't get to run the show. The President of the United States does, whether we like him or not, whether they like him or not. He runs the show. So I'll just give you the bottom line on all of this stuff. I couldn't open up this article on the deceased soldier, but, oh, here we go. I've got it. This stuff is an out-and-out lie. The sister of the deceased soldier, after this article, by the way, smearing Donald Trump, came out in the Atlanta, and this guy, this never-Trumper, Joel Goldberg or something like that, he's the one who is reporting on these stories and claiming he's got sources that say, well, I mean, why would we trust this guy? Because he's made clear he hates Donald Trump and would say or do almost anything to stop Donald Trump from becoming president of the United States, first of all, and then B, to destroy him if he could. Jonah Goldberg, that's his name, Jonah Goldberg. But the sister of the soldier decried all this stuff. She says, wow, I don't appreciate how you are exploiting my sister's death for politics. hurtful and respectful to the important changes she made for service members. President Donald Trump did nothing but show respect to my family and Vanessa. In fact, I voted for President Trump today. Now, that's the sister of the deceased soldier. But we're supposed to believe Jonah Goldberg. We're supposed to believe the Atlantic that he disrespected the soldier and disrespected the family. But here's the family saying, we voted for Donald Trump, at least the sister. I voted for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump did nothing but show respect for my sister's death. And she said, it's unbelievable that these Democrats are politicizing my sister's death. So there you go. I'm not even going to get into the minutiae and the details because they're irrelevant, because they made up a story. Because here's what they're doing right now. They're sitting in various rooms in the lamestream leftist Marxist media asking this question: what can we make up? What can we find? What can we concoct? What can we create that will derail Donald Trump? Is there anything we can say? Is there anything we can find? And somebody then finds some little piece of truth that they can spin into a lie, and they take that and run with it and say, oh yeah, he did this. Where's the proof? Well, the family doesn't corroborate it. The witnesses who were there don't corroborate it. So who do we have? Oh, we have Jonah Goldberg. We have the rag called the Atlantic, which is nothing but a leftist piece of trash. So we have them, and so we can all believe them, right? I told you, folks, this is what it is. Mass hysteria at the end. Donald Trump is the most dangerous person on the planet. And you wonder when he wins what they're going to do. Geraldo Rivera says, woe unto us if we selfishly elect Trump again. Now, I don't know whether you all have seen he must be having agita, because Hispanics are turning toward Donald Trump in droves. In droves. He's way ahead of Kamala Harris right now in the Hispanic vote. I mean, there's been a shift. He was making headway with the Hispanic vote when he ran in 2016 and in 2020. There's been a major shift because they've seen what the Biden administration has done. They've seen the inflation. They've seen all this family intervention garbage of telling your children that they were born in the wrong body. And Hispanics are family people. They don't want somebody intruding on their family, telling their daughter you're really a boy and telling their son you're really a girl. I mean, are you kidding me? And then, of course, they don't like the illegal aliens coming across the border either from 150 countries around the world. They've adopted this country as their own. I'm talking about citizens now, Hispanic citizens from a variety of different countries. They've adopted this country as their own, and they want to protect our sovereignty the way any American, any decent American would want. This is our country. You don't get to violate our borders. That's why we have borders. That's why we're a sovereign nation. We get to control who comes into our country, not others. But, Geraldo Rivera is saying something similar to what these people are saying. I'll get to that about black folks who vote for Donald Trump. Geraldo Rivera is saying, it is absolutely imperative that those people whose names sound like mine understand that this guy says that we are poisoning the blood of the country. He says it is in our genes that we commit murder. Now, has anybody ever heard Donald Trump say any silliness like that? This is a guy who promises mass deportation of our friends and relatives should he regain the White House. Tell your friends and relatives to come here legally. They won't have to be concerned about being deported. Period. Beep. Exclamation point on that. It's real. All of our, give me a break. Cry me a river. Come legally. And you won't have to be concerned about being deported. Otherwise, you need to be concerned about being deported. I don't care where you're from, because you're leaving here. And I'm hoping that Donald Trump will follow through on his mass deportation promise and start rounding these people up and getting them out of our country so aggressively that they start to self-deport and just leave on their own. That's the best of all possible worlds, that they just leave on their own. And then he says, you know, there is a sense of other that he has cultivated. Well, if you're not an American and you're here illegally, guess what? You are other. You're a human being. God loves you. I love you. I pray for you, but you can't be in our country. I mean, but they use this other stuff out there. He's cultivated. You know, they're trying to liken him to the worst actors that have ever been on the historical stage. And here's the thing. They're likening you and me to those actors too, because we agree with him. That's why we're supporting him. We're not supporting him because we're in love with his hair, you know, or we were fans of what was the show he had? You know, you're fired, whatever it was. But we're not supporting him for that reason. We're not even supporting him because he's a billionaire and he owns a lot of property. He's made a lot of. No, we're supporting him because of the policies that he implemented in his first term, and for the expressed intentions for his second term. We like them, we want them, we support them. We like energy independence. We like a secure border. We like putting tariffs on these foreign countries, particularly like China, that are raiding our nation and taking our manufacturing jobs overseas. We like these policies. We like no wars. We like projecting strength rather than having to use our military every time you turn around because we're projecting such weakness that we're pushed into a corner where we have no choice. We like a Donald Trump who projects strength so that people say, no, I don't think we want to mess with these Americans. Let's leave them alone. Donald Trump's in office. Let's leave them alone. We like that. That makes us fascists. That makes us Nazis. But that's what they're trying to sell. What they don't realize is what they're doing is insulting, I believe, over half the American people with this nonsense. And deeply offending all of us, because our love for our country is not fascism, and our desire for secure borders is not fascism or racism or xenophobia. And our desire to project strength around the world is not some kind of militaristic, fascistic attitude. It is exactly what George Washington himself prescribed. The best way to avoid war, he said, the best way to secure the peace, he said, is to be prepared for war. And as you all, I'm sure, know, George Washington was deeply committed to not entangling ourselves in the affairs of foreign countries. He was deeply committed to that principle. But he made clear the best antidote, the best inoculation against war is projecting such strength that nobody wants to go to war with you. Now, they can like that or lump it or do whatever they want to do with it. My goodness, I'm getting short on time. Let me get to this. And this woman at the Marxist Socialist No Brains channel, MSNBC, says that Donald Trump's heinous racism cannot be overstated. She says, there's some meticulously reported and stunning new reporting of The Atlantic on the heinous racism and contempt for the men and women who serve and are injured and die serving our country in the United States military by the man seeking to serve as our next commander-in-chief. Now, you mean to tell me I'm supposed to believe these Marxists, collectivists, godless, atheistic, secularists, pseudo-journalists, and what they're saying about Donald Trump? I'm supposed to believe them and not him and not eyewitnesses and not even the family of the woman who was killed and who Donald Trump helped to make sure that she got an honorable funeral and military honors and all that. I'm supposed to believe her and The Atlantic and not Donald Trump and eyewitnesses, you must have lost. She must have lost her mom. She probably never had it, to tell you the truth. Oh, and what did I said? This says Jeffrey Goldberg. I thought it was Jonah Goldberg. I saw a picture of him because I know who Jonah Goldberg is. I saw a picture of him. I wonder, is he going by Jeffrey now, perhaps? But at any rate, like I said, but this is just it's just more of the same there. Let me also, by the way, I mentioned Hispanic vote. Donald Trump Harris was leading Donald Trump in the Hispanic vote by 53% to 37% in August. He's now leading Harris by 49% to 38%. I think that's a shift of 27 points. Because they've seen her, they've heard her, they know who she is, they know where she stands, and they said, no, 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 no mas. Enough, no more. So, and God bless them for seeing it. And by the way, black men are waking up to this as well, especially. I hope the black women also get a revelation. As I've said before, we are doing ads in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. By the way, the 7 battleground states now, according to Real Clear Politics, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia, that's where we are doing our work. And in addition to that, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, and Nevada. And right now, Trump is leading by 0.8% in Pennsylvania, 0.4% in North Carolina, and 2.5% in Georgia. And I dare say we can take some of the credit for that, because I really believe that the shift in the black vote is in part responsible for these small margins that Donald Trump is now getting. And they are pretty small. Even Georgia, 2.5%, which is pretty good, but still pretty small. But as you can see in Pennsylvania and North Carolina, those margins are infinitesimal. Now, we have this that we can take some solace in. Donald Trump's vote is characteristically underreported because there is such opprobrium and such hatred thrown at you when you say, I'm supporting Donald Trump, that a lot of people simply don't admit it. They just won't acknowledge that they're going to vote for Donald Trump, but they're going to vote for Donald Trump. So these points may be an understatement of the level of his support, but even we just take these at face value, he's winning. He's winning. So there's a shift. He's not winning the black vote, but there's a shift happening in the black vote right now. He's winning the Hispanic vote. So here's one more thing, and then I'm gonna call it a day for today's program and go. But if you want to support us in the work we're doing, we're down to what, 12 days to the election now? Well, no, 13 days to the election now. Go to StandAmericaPAC.us. StandAmericaPAC.us. And make whatever contribution you can make to our effort, because every contribution you make allows us to increase our ad buys in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. And as I just showed you, those states are still close. Donald Trump is winning in those states, but they are still close. Here's the last thing I'll leave you with. We haven't talked much about school choice. And in fact, I haven't even done an ad about school choice. I probably should. Maybe that's one of the ones, one of the ads we'll throw into the mix. We just did one about manhood that we're throwing into the mix. But this one is on school choice. This is about school choice and the Democrat Party platform, not the teachers union now, the Democrat Party, which just goes to show that the wholly owned subsidiary of these Marxist unions, these Marxist teachers unions, these reprobates. Quote, this is the Democratic platform for 2024. We oppose the use of private school vouchers, tuition tax credits, opportunity scholarships, and other schemes that divert taxpayer-funded resources away from public education. They don't want not only vouchers, which there's some problems with vouchers, they don't want tuition tax credits, they don't want scholarships. In other words, even when private individuals get a tax break for supporting children, poor children being able to go to a private school, they don't even want you to get the tax break. That's not directly coming out of the school budget. But they don't even want you to get that because they want to keep children captive in these schools where they can indoctrinate them with all kinds of sexual deviancy, where they can miseducate them about the United States of America, and where they can then turn them into their little radicals to get out and continue their cultural revolution in the country. They're not interested in educating these children, teaching them to read, to write, to do math, to know history, to be able to think analytically. They're not interested in any of that. They're interested in creating little robots, little automatons, little indoctrinated kids that will do their bidding as adults. And it's a travesty. It really is. That's why we can't let these people get elected. We cannot let these people get elected. 70% of the American people support school choice. The Democrat Party opposes it. How in the world would we ever allow these people to be our national leaders when they're that out of sync with where the American people stand? It would be ridiculous. StandAmericaPAC.us is the website. I've got to go. If you want to tune in at 9 a.m., I'm going to be on American Family Radio, substitute hosting for Pastor Jeff Shreve at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. In the meantime, you know what to do. Stand up, step up, speak up, refuse to back up, because we cannot be defeated if we will not quit, because we are on God's side. God bless everybody.